Hi, my name is Amish Agarwal. I'm an advocate. I practice law in Delhi. I just got done with a virtual hearing which I participated in while traveling. And I was wearing the clothes. I had shifted from my travel clothes into my professional clothes just so that I can argue the matter. And I thought, I'm here. The view is nice. I might as well make a small video about something which has been going on in my mind for the past couple of days. I recently made a video a couple of weeks ago about whether you should bribe the police or not, and in that video I gave some very, very strong reasons, all in favor of not bribing the police. I explained a bunch of reasons why, keeping the ethics aside, the when it comes to the sole benefit which accrues to you versus the negative aspects of bribing the police, I said that it does not make sense for you to bribe the police. However, there is another side to the story which I got a revision of when I was traveling through another state, a state which has a partial lockdown going on right now. There were several formalities which needed to be completed, some of which I as a lawyer did not know about, and I was taken by surprise. And I at that point of time was wondering, now if I'm charged under an offense of section 188 IPC, which all these other people across the country are being charged with, which I've said on multiple occasions is completely illegal, because the ingredients of section 188 are not satisfied if you're trying to prosecute someone for non-violation of the rules of wearing masks and all these curfew timings and whatnot. Having said that, the question now arises, if I, while traveling in another city, in another state, outside my jurisdiction, even as a lawyer, someone who's a little well connected also, who knows lawyers from all over the country because of my work and other ventures, I thought to myself, will I consider bribing a police official if I get into a sticky situation over here? And of course, my advocacy aside, my profession aside, my duty to the bar aside, and my duty to circumspect on what I'm saying aside, as an individual, as a citizen of the state, as one of the subjects of the state, the question that comes to my mind is, will I again keep the ethics aside for a minute and look at the practical aspect of whether I should bribe the police or not? I was reminded of this situation that a friend of mine had gone through several, say 5, 6, 7 years ago. What happened was, him and another friend of his were beaten up black and blue in Bangalore by a bunch of racist Kannadiga men who apparently had some sort of racist hatred towards North Indians. Picked up a fight without any rhyme or reason, and just like 20-30 people got together because of one small spat with one fellow. 20 of them got together, beat up these two guys. They went to the police. The police were nice enough to register an FIR. Of course, what they wanted was grievous hurt, because one guy did indeed spend several weeks in the hospital, which qualified for the ingredient of grievous hurt to be satisfied. Yet the police only registered an offense of 323, which is simple hurt, because of which the possible punishment would have been low. It's a bailable offense, because of which the police did not arrest the accused persons either. But of course, trial is supposed to go on. And when the charge sheet was filed, the accused persons were called. They live in Bangalore. They were called by the Bangalore court of the magistrate where the matter was going on. However, the witnesses, the aggrieved persons, the victims, the complainants, were my friend and his friend, both of whom lived in Delhi, and both of whom had to fly down to Bangalore on multiple occasions. Of course, it's a very well-known strategy by defense lawyers, a very prevalent strategy of defense lawyers, especially if the witnesses are from out of station, to put pressure to make it not worth their while. The defense counsels would generally try their best to take an adjournment for one reason or the other. And a lot of times the judge is on leave, there is some strike going on which is happening, and of course the bar very with a lot of enthusiasm takes up strikes, because they think that is the only way they can kind of negotiate their terms as a lawyers collective. But because of that, the litigant suffers so much, right? So there is judges on leave, there is strikes, there is the defense counsel on leave, the accused is not available, the prosecutor is not available. There are a host of reasons because of which trials get delayed, and it's a well-known thing. And in that situation, when a person is coming from out of station, the defense counsels try their best to get an adjournment as much as possible, because of which aggrieved real victims who faced some very, very arbitrary action by a bunch of miscreants several thousand kilometers away have to now suffer the burden of coming to court again and again and testify. And of course, the jurisprudence, the law of the land says that it is your duty as a witness in an offense committed against the state when it is committed upon you, and the state is to pursue the case and to put the perpetrators to justice. But when you are the victim who is facing all of this trouble, it's very difficult for you to objectively see how there is justice being done. And in that scenario, I remember my friend called me up and said, we want to be done away with the case. We want the case to be over. What do we do so as to enable the matter to be over? Because we don't want to go again and again to testify in this matter where we've already suffered the consequences so much. Long story short, if you're an accused person, if you're a victim, if you're a witness for that matter, but if you are in another state when this happens, of course the CRPC mandates, barring a few small exceptions, the CRPC, the Criminal Procedure Code, mandates that the trial shall take place in the place where the person was found, the offense took place, and or the repercussions were felt. In all likelihood, if I am in some city, let's call it XYZ city, right now over here in this hill town, and I commit an offense, say perhaps under section 188 IPC, I'm confident of an acquittal. However, the fact that I'll have to come down to this hill town city every few months for the next 5 years is something which will be a huge deterrent to me. Of course, I'm a lawyer. I cannot tell you that you should pay the police the bribe, that whatever needs to be done to, or maybe call up someone or do whatever needs to be done to get out of that situation. However, on an individual level, I don't condone it. But on an individual level, I say, you might not be the biggest fool if you do it. I will not condone it. I will not say it's excusable. Yet, I will understand. If you come to me and you tell me, Amish, I paid a bribe to the cops, or I made a call to someone influential who got me out of that situation. Bribes are bad. Bribes are the root of all evil. Bribes are the antithesis of a democracy. Bribes are all these other things that we all know about. Yet, the difficulty is, and I hate to say it, practicality sometimes mandates that you, as the affected subject of the state, sometimes you just do what you have to do to get out of the situation that you are in, often for no fault of yours.